before we start today's webinar, it would be nice to wait a little bit for about 5 minutes for other people to join. I can actually see some people are coming in right now. And today, as you know, we'll be talking about giant RPA in healthcare. So I think we should just wait about 5 minutes more before we can actually proceed in today's webinar. Okay, we still have more people coming in, so just 3 more minutes, and then we can actually dive into the main topic of today. So we'll just give it 3 more minutes before we actually start off. Okay, guys, without wasting any much of your time, I think we are just going to dive into today's webinar. And I welcome you from wherever you're joining me today. Good day. I hope everybody's safe. I hope we are all healthy. And just before we proceed into today's webinar, my name is Mike from Giant. And as you know, Giant is an RPA vendor. And today we'll be talking about RPA in healthcare and how Giant has actually been able to pave way and actually affect so many healthcare organizations in a very positive way in terms of its RPA. And also, I'll tell you a couple of case studies. I'm going to also teach you about and talk to you about the deployment package, implementation, functionalities, and how Giant was able to help so many healthcare industries during this COVID pandemic situation. And also, as we all know, during the COVID time, a lot of cases, a lot of work, a lot of overtime. So I'm definitely going to take you deep into a comprehensive aspect how Giant was actually able to navigate that with its RPA technology in able to simplify the processes for different hospital, different healthcare organizations, and actually tend to deliver a very high, return on investment at the end of the day. And also, you joining me today on today's webinar, I did not forget about you. I actually have a very important gift for you at the before or at the end of the webinar. I'll be actually giving you or telling you how to actually claim your gift or bonus just for joining me in today's webinar. And also, if you have any questions you'd like to ask me as the webinar is going on, don't be scared. Just feel free to type your question in the comment section. I have the team of amazing developers here at Giant, the best developers you can actually think of when it comes to RPA and when it comes to answering your technical queries. Just be rest assured they are going to answer all your questions. And on the other hand, if you have business questions you'd like to ask me, please feel free to ask your business queries and business questions. I have other strategic partnership managers, amazing people who are actually there to actually respond to your questions. And like I said, if you want to reach out to me after this webinar, feel free. At the end of the webinar, I'll show you my details in terms of my email address, my phone number. Feel free to reach out to me and we can discuss further. And just not to waste any of our time, like I said, today we'll be looking at different case studies. We'll be looking at how to get your bonus as a participant. And also, I'll be telling you in depth analysis or comprehensive information regarding RPA, Giant RPA in healthcare, and how to discover it. And then we're going to have our question and answer section. So, moving forward, McKinsey & Company reports that by 2050, 1 in 4 people in Europe and North America will be over the age of 60. Now, this means that in the healthcare system, they will have to deal with a whole lot of patients with very complex issues. And managing such patients is actually very expensive and requires systems to shift from an episodic care based philosophy to that's actually more proactive and focused on a long term care management. So, what does this mean? It means that at the age of 60, it means that 1 in every 4 people in Europe currently, by the time they get to the age of 60, they're actually going to be having some very complex health issues. And in order for you to manage these complex health issues, and if you check out the population we have right now compared to the population that we're looking at in the forefront coming together, you find out that it's actually going to increase by 25% statistically, And at the end of the day, if you look at it, you find out that 1 in every 4 is actually going to be having a very complex health situation, which is actually going to be overwhelming the healthcare industry to a reasonable extent. And then when it comes to managing these health issues, when it comes to managing these individuals, hospitals and healthcare organization, they actually have to look at the aspect of transcending from a myopic or an old form of managing patients to actually a very new form of managing patients. And in all this, you find out that this is where Giant is actually coming in to actually find a way to simplify the way healthcare are being run this time, to simplify the way they manage patients, and then to simplify the process in which patients get to receive extensive, healthcare. Moving forward, so when it comes to Giant RPA and the benefits it has in healthcare, what are some of the benefits the Giant RPA has in healthcare? Scalability. So when we talk of scalability, it means that one application which was actually designed in one system or computer can actually be expanded in hundreds of machines using exactly the same system. Now, one of the things we here at Giant try to do is not to disrupt the legacy system of a particular organization or particular healthcare. So at the end of the day, the Giant RPA is actually designed in a way that you can scale it to as much length as you want to scale it. At the same time, retaining and maintaining your legacy system. So it's just very easy to transfer everything you have in one particular system to the other system without disrupting whatever you have. And also, it has the ability to increase operational efficiency. So when we talk about operational efficiency, we're talking about high data accuracy and no room for error when you compare that with humans handling large volumes of patients. But then with the giant RPA, you find out that it increases the operational efficiency and then it leaves no room for human error. Cost effectiveness. This is actually very important when it comes to choosing a very right RPA for an organization, especially for an organization that has a very low budget. But I'm actually here to tell you that when it comes to Giant RPA, part of our focal point is that we are looking at small, large, and medium scale enterprise. So we are not just designed for a specific topography of business. Now, when it comes to business, whether you're a small business, whether you're a mid-sized business or a large business, Giant RPA is actually there for you when it comes to cost effectiveness. And this is because, like I said, we tend to accommodate everybody. And with this, you can see how much return on investment you can actually get, how much time this can actually save you at the end of the day, and then how much report generation this can actually give you at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, as it saves costs for you, you find out that it gives the nurses and the doctors the ability to focus on more important, job or tasks they can actually perform in the hospital alike. And the fourth one is risk and compliance reporting. So when it comes to risk and compliance reporting, as we know very well, security is actually paramount in the solution industry right now. And then Giant RPA works according to the GDPR rules, which gives 100% transparency regarding how our robot works, regarding the ability to track the elements of your code, regarding the ability to see where you have bugs, how to fix it, where you have glitches, and actually how to fix it up immediately. So Giant RPA is not a closed system. It's actually a system that's actually working in compliance with the European Union GDPR laws, in terms of security, in terms of opening a system for people to actually see how things are going at the back end of the system. Then talk about availability. So when we are talking about availability here, it's focused more on system which is actually available 365 days in a year and no off day. It's always there. So far it's been deployed in this. So far it has been deployed in a specific situation. It's going to keep running for as long as you want it to run. Not just running that, it also gives you the ability to figure out when you can actually enhance it, when you can actually customize it, when you can actually upgrade it, so you can actually keep running 365 days in a year without any breakdown. So the next one is zero infrastructure cost. So when we are talking about zero infrastructure cost, Giant RPA can be set up with zero infrastructure cost. This means companies and organizations do not have to get additional machines, or they do not have to get additional system just to start implementing the Giant RPA. And as you know, Giant RPA is just an easy to install software of 150 MB, which you can just download even in an old system. And just by downloading that, you can start automating business process. That's how simplified Giant RPA is. And also, when you talk about fast implementation, Giant RPA is loved by so many companies and organizations and so many government agencies, banks, and even the science industries alike because of its implementation frame. Now, when it comes to implementation, I can boldly tell you that we have the fastest implementation time in terms of the project you're about to execute in your company, in terms of what you want us to handle. Because at the end of the day, all we need to do is come into your company, analyze the business process that needs automation, and less than in a week or 5 days, we can actually automate your business process. So when it comes to implementation with Giant RPA, it has the shortest implementation time when it comes to implementing or automating business process in your business. And the last one says business growth with legacy system. Now, this is very important when thinking of RPA to implement. Giant gives you the ability to maintain the current system which you have in your company, and at the same time gives you the ability to integrate or sync it with the Giant RPA. So an example is, let's say you have in your company a process that goes through A, B, C, D. And in this process that goes through ABCD, the company has been running with this process for the past 15 years, and you need to implement the Giant RPA solution. Now, the beautiful thing with Giant is we are just going to come and align with your ABCD. We are not going to tell you to change it to XYZ. We are going to stick to your legacy system, which you have in the company. We're going to stick to everything you have. We are just going to integrate our giant RPA solution with exactly what you have. So it's like you having the virtual aspect of your company on the RPA dashboard or system or anything you can actually think of. So at the end of the day, we are not coming to change the way your company runs. We are coming to simplify it. We are coming to modify it. We are coming to enhance it in a way that the thing is actually going to run at a more effective and effective way and gives you at the end of the day a large return on investment. And then moving forward. So part of the things we've been able to do when it comes to automation in the healthcare industry is we try as much as possible to help hospitals to simplify or enhance the patient scheduling and management appointment system in terms of making it very easy rather than patient nurses or administrative staff sitting at the desk at the desktop or picking phone calls, scheduling times and all. We actually made it in a way that patient can actually schedule their time and then get notification when it's actually getting close to the point of the appointment with the doctors. And also claim management. Now, this is something else we were able to help them with, also administrative and data entry. Here, it's very important because you find out that instead of the patient coming to the hospital and entering the data in the reception, they can actually do this over the phone. They can do this over the computer, over the internet. And you find out that this actually reduces a whole lot of, saves a whole lot of time for whoever is the administrator, the doctor, the nurses. They don't need to start asking you for all those very vital information when you're able to enter them yourself. So all they just need to do is look at your profile. They're able to see this. Why? Because we've actually simplified the process and made it in a way that the patient, while you're trying to schedule your appointment, while you're trying to sign up for this hospital, you were able to enter all these informations in your profile. And at the end of the day, it's actually very simple for the hospital to see your data, know what issues you're having, know how to help you, and how to meet up before you get to them. Then when we talk about regulatory compliance, now regulatory compliance is actually, like I said, we actually work very in hand with the GDPR rules when it comes to transparency, when it comes to openness. Giant RPA is actually very open, very transparent in terms of letting you see how your code works, letting you see, what is happening at the back end, and then knowing how to customize or modify them at the end of the day. Now, staff management. Now, we were able to help this hospital to enhance their staff management rather than using the old and obsolete way of keying in or signing in when you come to work. It was actually digitalized this time around, whereby people can actually sign in on their mobile, sign in on the office solution without trying to do it the old way and all that. So when it comes to document digitalization process, it was actually one of the most interesting aspects of automating the process in this hospital, because at the end of the day, like I said, it gives us the ability to help this patient and help the hospital as well. Rather than trying to confirm someone's document on the spot, you can also attach this online. You can actually attach it to your profile, your documents, your everything that has to do with you was actually simplified and put in the whole system whereby everything can actually be stored in your profile. Tracking of assets. Now we know very well how hospital work. Hospitals are made up of so many drugs, so many materials, so many equipment and all that. So we were actually able to help them to simplify the aspect of their tracking and inventory management in the way that they can actually tell who is actually using what at a particular time, who is actually moving a particular equipment at a particular time, where you can find this person. And at the end of the day, we know very well the issue that happened with the COVID and how hospitals were actually running out of equipment. And sometimes they couldn't understand why some equipment were missing or some materials were missing. So when we came in, we kind of like simplified that process and tried to help them to track who is actually signing out on what, who is actually with what you're using this for. And at the end of the day, it was actually able to reduce the wastage. It was actually able to reduce how much materials they were able to use at the end of the day, and as well, it was actually able to keep track of whoever is using what. So medical billing. Now, this aspect of medical billing, as we know, we kind of like made it in a way that you can actually pay for your medical bills as well with the RPA online. You can actually see your medical report, billing as per. You don't have to go to the counter. You don't have to visit the account. Everything was actually integrated with the payment gateway system, which at the end of the day makes it easier for patients to just use either their mobile phone or use either their credit card and just take care of that. Customer service and remote care. Now, this is actually one important aspect I'd like to point out. You find out that sometimes we have so many mobile nurses in homes, in the hospitals, and in different places. So rather than having a nurse in your home taking care of a sick person, we actually integrated a solution whereby you can actually chat online, live, and get support from a particular nurse or a particular doctor, which means this doctor can actually provide you an information on what to do at at the very given time, how to do what before they arrive on the scene. So we kind of like try to make this thing whole simplified due to the whole COVID situation, pandemic, how the restrictions work and everything. So we try to simplify the whole process. We try to give patients and doctors and nurses the ability to discuss or the ability to chat within each other without having to be there at a particular time. And we know during the COVID situation time, most people had limited access to the hospital. Most people had limited access to see the doctors and nurses. But with this remote care we actually generated or we actually brought into play, it actually made it very easy for patients and doctors to communicate, for patients and nurses to communicate, and at the same time get their post treatment care at the end of the day. So moving forward, so here we are going to be looking at how robots was actually able to help to recover during the COVID-19 crisis. How the giant RPA robot was actually was actually really helping to help people to recover from COVID-19 situation or crisis. So when you talk about the RPA, part of the things we actually did was to speed up the COVID-19 protocol or procedure. And that was when we thought of the whole remote care. Now, the remote care came into this because we figured out, like I said initially, there were so many limitations to people getting to the hospital. There were so many limitations to people talking to different doctors. The hospital were literally full. And then even if you were sick, you couldn't actually discuss with a doctor or something. So we actually brought up the aspect of this by speeding up the COVID-19 procedure, and also patient registration automation, which I actually talked about initially. Patient registration automation was actually part of the amazing things we brought in, which simplified the registration process, monitoring the health of employees as well. Now, we did not rule out the fact that nurses and doctors could get sick. Now, we actually have this system whereby if the nurses or doctors actually got sick, we had this system where it can actually monitor and send out a general information to everybody. Now, if the temperature of a particular doctor or nurse is high, the RPA technology sends out a general information to everybody in the hospital, telling them this person's temperature is a bit high. And at the end of the day, people had to just pay attention to each of them and try to give them maximum care at the end of the day. Then we actually integrated the RPA with a COVID-19 update. As we know, during the whole COVID-19 situation, we had so many restrictions, we had so many news, we had so many updates that kept on coming on daily basis. So we were able to integrate the solution as well to give the nurses and doctors that are working in the hospital 24 hours updates so they can actually keep themselves updated with what is happening outside. Contact tracking. This is very important. So let's assume a patient leaves the hospital and goes back home. Now, we were able to generate a contact tracking whereby the hospital can actually track the progress of the patient. The hospital can actually track how well the patient is doing, if you're able to start meeting people, if you still have to quarantine. We actually enhanced all this. Now, rather than having people go from one place to the other to do this tracking, it was actually something that could be done, on the cloud, via internet, via your mobile application. And it kind of like simplified the whole process in all the whole help as we get into hospital and all. Issuance of permits to kill retail and delivery employees. Here we actually generated also a solution whereby you can actually issue permits to kill retail and delivery employees. This actually helped them to get this actually helped them to get materials, and at the same time to give out materials to different patients alike regarding the whole COVID-19 situation. At the same time, it's a kind of like inventory management, because at the end of the day, it keeps track of who you're delivering something to and who you're actually receiving something to. At the end of the day, you're trying to know which material is going out, which material needs replacement, and then which material you have to like keep track on, and how effective they are being used, and hope they are not being wasted at the end of the day. So moving forward, right now we are going to be looking at a couple of clients regarding giant RPA client, and then we are going to be looking at a couple of case study, and also we are going to be looking right now at different questions we have before we proceed. So without wasting time, I will just check out if we have some questions here, and I can see here that we have the first question from Sakar Ali. He said, "Hi, would there be a possible record of this session?" Yes, yes, it's very, very possible. If after the whole webinar, if you need a record of this session, I can actually make that available for you. And then the next question said, okay, so yeah, just about the recording of the session. So like I said, as soon as the session is over, if you're interested in getting a record of this session, just feel free to write in the chat box. And as soon as it's over, we're going to make this recording available for you at the end of the day. So moving forward, so here are some of our clients, people we actually had the pleasure of automating for. Now we have the BNP Paribas. They happen to be one of the biggest bank, and the Metro Bank as well, Phoenix Contact. These are like international brands that we actually know of: Red Bull, Fujifilm, and DPD, and etc. So these are like our big, and we still have some of our clients that we need to also update. But basically, these are some of the clients that we have been able to automate their business processes, and they are very, very happy with the services they are getting at the moment. So without wasting much of our time, we'll be moving into case studies. And then in today's case studies, we'll be looking at the aspect of automated registration and safe service of patients in healthcare. One of the largest specialized hospitals in Poland was actually our client, which they actually focused more on treating students and children with very serious illness over the country. And the source of the problem is healthcare units, and we try to help them to simplify the expose of the problem resulting to insufficient safeguard against COVID-19 infection, because patients do not report possible contact with those infected with the COVID or coronavirus. So we try to actually figure out how we can actually simplify the source of their problem. And in order to be able to do that, Giant Solution was actually the first problem we simplified was long service time for admitting a new patient. It took them a very lot of time to admit a new sick patient, long waiting for registration in the emergency room. So, like I told you initially, we were able to automate the the registration aspect of trying to see a doctor or a nurse. We try to simplify it and make it very easier for people to actually have access to the nurses and doctors. Also, the insufficient daily limits for accepting new patients. Now, the fact that people always came at the same time to the hospital made it very difficult for doctors or nurses to see people immediately. So with the help of the automation, we try to like make it in a way that everybody have a specific time to see a specific doctor at a specific time. So at the end of the day, when you come to that particular time, you see your doctor, you go, this other person comes and see their doctor and go. And it makes it very easy for the doctors and nurses to also keep track and time of people when they are coming, when they are leaving, when they are admitting new people. And it makes it very easy for everybody at the end of the day. And the fourth one was the risk of contamination of staff and patients during the lengthy registration process. Like I said, with the help of the automation that helped them with registration, it limited the amount of people in the hospital at a specific time. So it's as simple as once this person is leaving, the other person is coming into the hospital, and the other person is seeing the doctor or leaving again, and it reduces the risk of people struggling to register, people struggling to meet a particular doctor, at the same time spreading the disease among themselves. So the automation process actually simplified the whole process of how they meet the doctor and who and when they have to meet their specific doctor. And also, the fifth one said hospital patient information flow problem. So before you come to the hospital already have your data, the hospital already have your information, the hospital already know or knew the kind of situation you're coming to the hospital with. So it was actually able to simplify the information aspect. Rather than the doctor asking you for your history, your medical records, it's already in the system. So it's already easy for them to read in the system before you walk in. And all they need to do is just to go straight to diagnose you and help you out. Also, the robot registers patients in the hospital system, verify data, and reduce personal contact between people to a minimum. Before being admitted to the ward, patients are required to, example, fill form, e-form beforehand. E-form means online form, internet form. It is then verified by a robot, and then data, after being checked, are transferred to the hospital system. The implementation of the automatic registration process extended by pre-selection questions regarding possible contact with the virus significantly facilitates the decision about the procedure to be used in the patient cases. Now, in all this, it asks you all these possible questions that the doctor is supposed to ask you. So by the time you're able to answer all these questions, and when you meet the doctor, like I said, everything has been simplified. The doctor already starts diagnosing you immediately. And also, for this hospital we worked for, the implementation took us about 3 weeks. Now, this is because it's a very big hospital. That's why it took about 3 weeks. And then it's able to save them till date over 3,400 hours per year. So imagine if all the whole automation process is saving them 3,400 hours per year. Imagine when you have humans doing all this job. It's actually going to be costing so much time when you have humans running from one place to other, trying to attend to everybody. But with the help of robots, at the end of the day, they are being saved 3,400 hours in a year, and the online robot supervised patient registration system reduced the waiting time in the emergency room to the barest minimum. So moving forward, we're going to be looking at another case study, and this case study we'll be looking at is actually focused on automated invoice process in healthcare organization. So how we're able to automate their invoice processing, system in a healthcare organization. And our client happened to be a network of high specialized center for ophthalmology service, which actually have branches in Poland, Czech Republic, and also in the UK. And then the problem we were able to find out is the fact that vendor billing staff in the finance department were responsible for managing the process of approximately 20,000 invoices per month. Now, you see that if you have human beings managing over 20,000 invoices in a month, you have so much room for error. You have so much room for mistakes. You have so much room for misplaced digits or entering wrong numbers. So this is a very time consuming job, and also it actually leaves a whole large room for mistakes and wrong numbers and so many things to go wrong. So part of the things we were able to do was, first, we try to identify the problem whenever we come into a place to automate the business process. So we try to identify the part of the problems they had was the longer processing time for their invoice, especially for processing outstanding invoices, and then also high likelihood of discrepancies and expectations in processed invoice, and high turnover rate adversely affects productivity and quality, an inferior vendor management system that does not provide visibility into outsourcing payable. Now, it says here that all of the above challenges and many more prompted the company to search for a trusted service provider who would effortlessly analyze, process, and discover areas for automation and develop a scalable automation model. And then this brings me to the aspect of the whole invoice. And let's understand something now with the giant RPA. I can tell you that we have this OCR system or OCR that is integrated with our RPA that is able to read invoice from a invoice from a document or invoice from a paper, and then you can actually then scan it into the system, and it selects the words from the document and transform them into the system and stores them up. And then we partner with so many OCR technologies like the Google OCR, the Tenant OCR, and so many more that we partner with or that we have in our system currently. So at the end of the day, regarding what type of invoice you have, it could be virtual invoice, it could be physical document invoice, but rest assured that the Giant RPA has the ability to pull out the information from them and transform them into the system and deliver a very right information at the end of the day. So moving forward, part of the things we did with the Giant solution was able to conduct a diagnosis of the client's technical infrastructure. We were able to analyze the existing business process related to system methods of integration between the system also. Then we were able to develop a methodology for automation and for their existing system to conduct tests of the solution. And also we measure the parameters of the solutions according to the specific client's need. Then we made improvement based on customer feedback. Now remember, like I said initially, all these all these solutions currently is actually in the hospital. So when we came into the hospital, we didn't try to change anything in the hospital. We only tried to simplify it. We only tried to modify it in a way that they can be integrated with Giant solution. And also at the end of the day, give them a maximum output at the end of the day. So documents from various integrated sources are received and scanned. The robot monitors the flow of documents, then the unstructured data is converted into structured data, example table. Now, what do I mean by this? It means that even if you have a document, like I said, an invoice in a document form, once it's been put into the system has the ability to extract this document, even if it's unstructured. And then when it extracts it, it structures it into a table and gives you a comprehensive information at the end of the day. So you don't have to be scared if the information was typed wrongly or was entered wrongly in the document. The system has the ability through the help of artificial intelligence to actually modify it and make it comprehensive in a more structured way. And at the end of the day, providing you with maximum quality in terms of data. The Giant robot was designed to index each document and store it in the integrated document management system. The robot matches the supplier's information on the invoice with the information in the supplier's master database, and it is sent for manual verification in the case of unidentified supplier. So at the end of the day, in case something is coming into the hospital in terms of invoice, the solution actually has the ability and also has everyone in the database. So all the solution needs to do is to go and qualify or to go down to the database to verify if this is right. And once this is right, it moves it over to the next phase. And it has the ability to just move from one step to the other. It just works in forms or in form of a human being rather than moving from one office to the other. It just does this in a technological way, which is actually very, very simplified. Identify the right person, identify the right department, and at the end of the day, it actually verifies the case and everything. So it also searches the system for a related purchase order and matches line by line with the data, item number, and the price in supplier invoice. Any discrepancies between PO and the invoice are identified, corrected, and routed for approval or rejection. Now, the processed invoice data and the result are recorded in the processing log and sent by email to the responsible person for manual review and correction. Now, this is actually another important aspect because with the Giant RPA, we have something that is called triggers. Now, you can actually design or modify each Giant RPA to perform in a very specific way. Now, the help of trigger can actually help you during a process or help your company during a particular process of verification. It can actually trigger an email to be sent to maybe the CEO, maybe the CTO, or the CFO. And once this email gets this trigger, the verification or the document could be sent to the CFO who has to confirm the financial information in a particular invoice. And with the help of the trigger, the CFO gets the notification and then he goes through the document. And if the document is okay, he can then approve it, or the CEO or anyone. So at the end of the day, you find out that the RPA is actually designed in a way that it actually does exactly the same thing, a repetitive function which human being does. At the same time, it does it very well because there are no rooms for error, and then it gives you this notification whereby you can actually know when you have something to do and when you have to do it, and then so things can actually be simplified in a particular organization. So moving forward, so the result at the end of the day is, like I said, it's another big hospital with three different branches in Poland, Czech Republic, and in the UK. So the implementation took us about 1 month, and then it's able to save them 1,800 hours monthly. And then it brought a huge return on investment for this hospital by 25%. Now, when it reduced the number of error, it reduced risk, it reduced the aspect of not being able to track where some finances are actually going into. At the end of the day, it saved them a lot of money, up to 25% in the hospital, and actually simplified the processes for them. So moving forward, we're going to be talking about Giant RPA a bit. And here we'll be talking about the softwares we have. We have our two main software, which is the Giant Studio and the Giant Orchestrator. So I'm just going to be telling you a bit more about our Giant Studio, which happened to be one of the best studio in the market at the moment. And this is actually a code-based solution, which is actually made for developers by developers, and which is actually supported by Giant language, or you can actually say it's supported by JavaScript, Python, and C Sharp also. And this allows you to create unlimited amount of robots, and there is no limit to how much robots you can actually create and how much business process you can actually automate using the Giant Studio. And at the end of the day, why we say this is actually created for developers by developers is because any developers that understands the basic, that has the basic knowledge and understand the basic programming language can actually automate business process by using the Giant RPA. And then the developers of Giant came together and thought of a very effective way to simplify automation with Giant RPA. And that means they introduced something we call the Giant language. Now, the Giant language is a very simple, you know, is a very simple command you can actually use to automate business process. So you don't have to write codes for Microsoft Word. You don't have to write code for Excel. You don't have to write code for Chrome. All you just need to do is to use a very specific simplified command, which have been generated by these programmers or these very amazing developers here at Giant to actually automate business process using the Giant RPA. That notwithstanding, you have the ability to write your own code. You have the ability to scale to what any limit you want. You have the ability to reach any height you want in terms of automation with the Giant RPA. And then we are going to be looking at some of the benefits of the Giant RPA. Giant RPA has the ability to save companies up to 40% when it comes to labor cost. Now, when it comes to labor cost, we are not saying that the robot is going to take away human job. We are only saying it's going to simplify their job. It's actually going to help the humans to focus on more important roles in the company in terms of customer satisfaction, customer retention, while the robot actually pays attention to other effective part of the job. Then it actually has the ability to boost the company's efficiency by up to 5 times. Now, when you have human beings reducing the load of their work and paying more attention to customers, trying to satisfy them, you find out that it gives the human a sense of belonging in the company. Whereas the robot is, on the other hand, doing the company's work while the humans you have in the company is actually talking to your customer. So it increases the company's efficiency by 5 times. It increases quality and no human error, like we saw initially in terms of finances, in terms of data analysis, in terms of documentation and administrative work. The Giant RPA has the ability to give you increased quality with no human error, integration without disrupting your legacy system. Now, I talked about this initially. If you have a very specific process in your company and you're looking to integrate the Giant RPA, be rest assured that you don't have to change your system. Be rest assured you don't have to alter your system. Your system can actually be the way it is, and all we just need to do is just to integrate it with our giant RPA and give you the same required result you have initially. Then standardized process. It has the ability to standardize your process in the company. And then it has the ability to focus on high level activities, handling larger customer volume and increase employee satisfaction at the end of the day. And as we all know, if our customers or employees are satisfied, we are definitely going to be getting maximum output from all our businesses. So with the giant RPA, it has the ability to give you less work with more result. So what do we mean by less work with more result? It means that robots don't need time off. Robots actually don't need to go for lunch breaks. Robots don't need to sleep. They don't need to, take any day off. They actually work at the same motivational level. So if you actually program a particular robot to do a specific job at a specific time, be rest assured it's going to deliver that same thing at a specific time, and it's going to do it with the same quality, with the same correction, without errors. And anytime you actually fire up this robot, it's going to give you that same maximum output at the end of the day. So the use of robots can actually reduce headcount cost by 25 to 40%, promising a quick return of investment. Now, in terms of banking, healthcare, logistics, and all government organization and or what you might actually think of, it actually has the ability to reduce the headcount cost by up to 25%. And this is not just all about reducing the headcount cost. At the end of the day, in as much as you're getting a huge return on your investment, you're sure that you're getting a huge return of investment without mistakes, without error, without data falsification, or things that could actually go wrong, and at the end of the day might actually be of a very, very big disadvantage to the company. So you're getting maximum quality from deploying robots to actually help you to simplify your process. Employees can now focus on more creative work and devote more time to customers. And like I said initially, um, okay, I'll give you an example. Currently, I'm having a webinar right now with you, and I'm trying to talk to you about giant robots and how well giant RPA can actually help you in your business. But as I'm talking to you right now, I have two different robots that are actually discussing with contacts, our client, and actually trying to schedule meetings for me at the same time. So with these two robots, all I just need to do is when I get back to my desk, I just have to go in and look at the conversation they had with these people and then follow up on this and then schedule this meeting and discuss with them. Now you find out that while I'm talking to you right now, I actually have robot who is actually discussing with people, scheduling meetings with people, trying to make sure things are going well on the other hand. So all I just need to do is just to get back and follow up on this. And then you find out that I'm devoting my time to making sure that the customer is satisfied. I'm devoting my time to making sure I retain this particular client at the end of the day. So with the help of robots, you find out that it gives us the ability to focus more on how to serve the customer better, how to make the customer happy, while the robot does the back end job at the end of the day. So RPA technology can execute a variety of tasks in a non-disruptive way. For other processes, robot can work with all platforms and all applications naturally, adjusting to your company as it evolves, and with no need to re-engineer your legacy system. I think we've spoken about this a lot more, but I cannot emphasize this. That there's no limit to how much I can tell you about this. Even if you think of implementing a solution at this moment, just be rest assured that nothing will be changed from your company. You won't be asked to implement a very obsolete or a very system that is so obnoxious. So at the end of the day, you're sure to just maintain that same system you have in your company while we just integrate and align it with giant RPA solution. So robot can precisely measure all the activities they perform, allowing you to analyze each automated process and see the elements that could be improved or simplified. Now, with the giant RPA, when we talked about the GDPR rules and giant RPA being transparent and being very open, now this is actually what we meant. In giant RPA, it gives you the precise measurement of what it's actually doing, how you can modify it, how you can analyze, how you can even customize it to make it better at the end of the day. So Giant RPA is actually a very open solution. and it gives you the ability to see the elements of your code, how your code is working, where there's a glitch, where there's a problem, why a particular code or robot wasn't working. And at the end of the day, you can actually simplify and enhance this robot. So unlike humans, robots are capable of performing tasks in a standardized way every single time. There is no room for human error. Thanks to robot, you can now achieve 100% efficiency every single time. Now, we talked about this with the giant RPA. You find out that you have no room for error. The same thing you've actually programmed it to do, the same thing you programmed the algorithm to do every day, every time, every minute of the day, 365 days in a year, it's actually going to perform the same function exactly the same way you want it to perform. So we move forward. Then we're going to be looking at Giant Studio. And then Giant Studio, we talked about it a bit, and then we'll be talking a bit more about our Giant Orchestrator and all that. So when we talk about the Giant Orchestrator, as the name implies, is actually a tool or solution which is actually designed to handle large forms of robots. So then at the end of the day, there are no limits to how many robots you can actually handle with our Giant Orchestrator. You can see all the status of your robots which are connected to your orchestrator. You can also monitor which of the robots is working and which of the robots you need to modify or upgrade at the end of the day. And this allows you to control and exchange informations or credentials between the Giant Orchestrator and Giant Studio. So at the end of the day, if you look at the data on the screen, this is exactly how the Giant Orchestrator looks like. It gives you all information regarding all the robots you connected on it, which one is working, which one is not working, which one you need to modify or enhance at the end of the day. And then it has this built-in integration for Google Docs, Internet Explorer, MS Office, Google OCR, Selenium, IBM Watson, and Java. And these are pre-configured and fully supported, and many more also. Giant Enterprise also features an orchestrator with a unique admin dashboard system. Like I told you, this is the unique dashboard system that gives you the ability to monitor all your robots that are connected in it, how they are working, and how you can actually see its functionality and how you can customize or modify it at the end of the day. So moving forward, now for you to actually have the Giant or to install or have the Giant solutions, these are basic, properties as regarding the Giant solution. Now you don't need any installation, you don't need any no infrastructure as per se. Because like I said initially, our solution is just 150 MB of file, which you have to download into the computer, install it, and you start running. It's just a standalone exe file, and it doesn't have any extra permission. The robot can do everything what user can do in terms of security-based Microsoft Windows technology. So all you just need to do is download this solution in the system. And once you download it in your computer, regardless of which computer it is, and you run it, install it, and you start automating business process. Then as you can see, you don't need to start buying specific computer, you don't need to start buying machineries, you don't need to start wasting money on infrastructure. What you have currently can actually be used to automate and simplify your business process in your organization or company alike. So we move on to the next one. So with the Giant solution, I can actually tell you that compared to other competitors we have in the market, Giant is actually a code-based solution made for developers by developers, as you know by now. And also we have the attended and unattended mode. But compare this to some of our competitors in the market, the attended and unattended mode in Giant is actually free of charge. It's not something you get to pay for. And at the end of the day, it gives you a very high productivity or high performance rate at the end of the day. But for us to talk more about this attended and unattended mode, how the into modes works very well in Giant, it would be nice to actually reach out to me, like I said, before the end of the webinar. I'm going to show you my credentials, my information, how you can contact me, and then we can actually schedule a virtual coffee chat whereby we can actually talk more about the features, about the properties, about the commercial aspect of Giant RPA. And be rest assured, you're going to be amazed and be happy with the solution at the end of the day. Moving forward, this is actually the point where I believe we have been waiting for. And then I can actually tell you this, when it comes to automating with the giant RPA or automation, it can actually be done with three simple forms and three simplest way. So at first, when you talk about you want to automate in your business, and when you come to us at Giant and you say, okay, how can Giant help me? We're looking to automate our business process. The first thing we are going to do is to talk about your processes. We're actually going to take you through a free business process analysis, which is actually something we actually do for people to try to help them to figure out which or where they are looking to automate in their business process. We are going to help them to analyze these processes. And together on the automation needs, we actually have to go through the commercial aspect, how much time it's going to save, how much return on investment you're going to get at the end of the day. And the last one is we are going to provide you with training and a personal cabinet assistant in your first trial, which is going to help you to deliver this result. So when it comes to all this, you find out that from 1 to 3, these are like the basic steps when it comes to implementing or automating business process with the giant RPA at the end of the day. So, currently, I'm going to say I'm happy with today's webinar, and it's actually been fun. It's been informative. It's been very educative at the end of the day. And I'm actually really, really happy to announce to you guys that have stayed with me throughout the webinar, and some of you that are actually dropping questions at the end of the day. The bonus for you for joining me for today's webinar. Be rest assured that after today's webinar, if you want to reach out to me for free business process analysis, you're very much welcome to reach out to me. And also, I have the privilege to actually give to you a trial version of the Giant Studio. Now, with this trial version, you have the ability to test, you have the ability to automate, you have the ability to actually feel how the Giant Studio works. And then, you can actually play with it. You can actually practice, learn, and study with it before you decide to take the big step further at the end of the day. So without wasting much of our time, um, I'm just going to show you this, and I'm going to tell you if you would like to reach out to me, here is my information. But before we get into this, I will quickly run down to the questions and see if we have other questions on board and see how well we can actually help people answer them. Okay. So someone says here, is there a case study document I can read about this application of giant RP in healthcare? The answer is yes. We have so many case studies we can actually read. And as you know, all you just need to do is reach out to me at the end of this webinar, my email, or you can actually reach out at hi@giant.com. And you can actually ask for the case study. You can ask for your bonus, and be rest assured, I will make sure I forward this information to you. And then someone says here, how is Giant RPA different from already existing RPA solution in the market, like the UI path, automation anywhere? And then here we said Giant is super flexible. You can automate all business process without any limits. Like we said, we don't try to control what you want to do with the Giant as regarding your business automation. We have a very open solution. Users can add any type of integration and expand, expansion they want, features, create new add-ons, automate all applications. Users can also create robots with C Sharp, Java or Python, etc., depending of what a particular person is comfortable with. And Giant is also a super light solution with 100 MB application. Giant has low requirement in terms of its computer properties. It has a very low requirement, and Giant doesn't require you to install or to buy any machineries or to install any supportive solution or anything to support its installation at the end of the day. So with all this, you can actually find out why Giant is actually super flexible and the best, better than others in the market. And also here we have, okay, a couple of questions has been answered. We have some comparisons that we are also dropped in. And it's been great, and I really appreciate the technical guys who have been there answering technical questions, and also my strategic partnership managers as well, who have been answering the business like question too. These are amazing people here at Giant, and be rest assured, if you decide to work with us here at Giant, you're going to get the maximum satisfaction ever. So on this note, I thank you very much for joining me in today's webinar, and I wish everyone a good time and stay blessed. Bye.